Welcome to We Connect, and thank you very much for joining me on this program. Nada Hasan is my guest here today. Now, she is head of the Pakistan-based organization called SABA. Now, this is a SARC-funded organization that helps women to kind of be self-sufficient, really, home-based workers. Now, she's here in our city to attend the World Crafts Council, and it's our pleasure to have her on the program today. Nada, thank you very much for being here with me. Let me first talk to you about the project itself in Pakistan.
Okay, now this project started 3 years ago, and this was SARC Development Fund's first ever project in the region, and so we had the good fortune to start up with it, and it was just not Pakistan. As it is SARC, so it indicates it's in all the countries, save India basically, because what the SARC Development Fund did was they actually gave the rights of monitoring and implementation of the project to SEWA, which is India based.
Yes.
And they felt that SEWA was the right organization which could really supervise and monitor and really advise all the 7 SARC countries on how to go about running something like this.
Right.
So, so that's when it all started, and with Pakistan it started with an NGO called Sangi, and SARC Development Fund identified Sangi as one of the NGOs that was already working with crafts. And they felt that maybe this was the organization that could take forward the project, and that's what happened. They awarded the project to Sangi, and as it evolved, I think it was felt that Sabas had to come into being as business organizations, because the idea behind SABA is SARC Business Association for Home-Based Workers. So in effect, the home-based worker, which could be some lady in the rural area or in some slum or something, so she is a member, she is a shareholder, and this is her business. So what the SABA projects were doing was empowering these women, giving them a kind of a roadway, a path, just to show them that, you know, you can market your wares, etc., and you have a sense of ownership as well.
So it's obviously doing fairly well in Pakistan.
Yes.
I'm just kind of curious, what is it that you are actually, you know, teaching? Are you going out into the rural areas, teaching women, or are you really developing the inherent skills that they might already have?
Well, that's a good question, actually. You see, a lot of the crafts, just not in Pakistan, it's elsewhere also, are dying, because one of the reasons is that the kind of remuneration that's offered to these women, it's a kind of a cost benefit. Like, she will always evaluate, is it better to do this versus for me to become a domestic servant or have some regular income. So some of the crafts were dying, and Sangi was one organization that realized even before the project started that we need to do something, that we need to give these women some kind of market outlets. But with this project, the initial 3 years of the project, which we called the phase 1, the SABA 1.
Always a difficult time, right?
Yes, it is. Yes. And that was just the time for capacity building. Now, the women that were recruited for the project were, you see, you can do it in 2 ways. You can really start from the grassroots, rudimentary levels, etc. But no, here we are trying to revive a dying craft. So we looked for workers who already knew the craft, and maybe they were not A-class craftswomen, etc., but people who could, their capacities could be built up.
So basically honing their inherent skills or something that they were already doing.
They were already doing it on an informal basis, etc., giving them education on quality, you know, like educating them about their rights of asking the right remunerations for it. And then ultimately the SABA 2, which is going to be kind of piggybacking on SABA 1, is after these women have their skill sets in place, etc., will now be able to show their wares into markets.
Right,
like I'm here in
course.
Chennai
Yes.
for this very purpose. We have home-based workers attending the World Crafts Council exhibitions that are taking place, and it's great exposure for them.
Yes, of course, indeed. But very often in this side of the world, we tend to sort of almost look down on people who are doing very beautiful handwork,
Yes,
and
yes.
and I often think that in a way they kind of get exploited in quite often.
That you're absolutely right, and
that's sad in a way,
and
isn't
that's
it?
one of the reasons why many of the crafts are dying.
Yes.
Is because of this attitude and the fact that the women themselves feel that this is probably not so paying. People are not willing to give the kind of money that,
right.
I think it's a matter of, because the fact is that life has become so fast paced, everybody wants new outfits, new fashions, etc. So with the crafts, at times it's a bit difficult for them to catch up with the fashions.
Right.
So a lot of things like machine embroideries, which are far cheaper
and quicker to do. Yes.
Disposable, you can get a new thing the next day. So as a result, the craftsmen and the craftswomen have suffered.
However, there is a timelessness about some of our very ancient Pakistan, as well. Some of the very ancient skills and the traditional stuff.
Yes.
I mean, this beautiful thing that I got at your at your place,
right.
at your spot, at your
and
stall.
It's looking fantastic.
Thank you, Nadim. But so I was just thinking that, let's see, how long would a home-based worker would have taken? How long do you think somebody could have taken to do something like this?
Something like this could easily, just the embroidery part of it could take her, 10 days to make something like this.
Okay.
And that also, given the fact that she cannot spend 8 hours a day towards it. She's a full-time employee at home. Yes. She has her kids to look after, she has her housework, husband, you name it.
Right.
So approximately she is going to not give more than 4 hours as such. So that's why it can take a little bit longer.
Right.
To make
what about the design itself? I mean, does your organization actually help guide them in the style, or do you actually make the outfit then give it to them? For instance, what I'm wearing, is that the way it would have been done? Explain that.
Well,
how does it work?
Yes, actually that is where the interventions are needed in product development as such. So the Sabha project itself has designers on board.
Okay.
And these are designers who go to the villages, study the crafts, see it from a business angle and see it from the angle where something is marketable or not.
Right.
And then they try and revive the old colors, maybe because what happens many a times is these ladies get confused. There's so many NGOs who come in and say, we want you to make it in this color, do that. So as a result, they lose touch with, their, something that they learned inherently from their parent, the mother, from child. So just to revive that, our designers go back and they try and sort out the old clothes, etc., and then come up with something which is innovative
and modern
and they try, because like I said earlier,
yes,
this is the time people want quick fast fashion, etc. So the crafts have to somehow match all that.
Right.
So that's where we come in.
Now Nada, it's time for me to go on a very short break, but we'll get right back with you here on We Connect, so you please don't go anywhere.